Hello and welcome to GameGen. If you love city builders as much as I do, then 2026 might just be your year. We're getting a bunch of new games that push creativity, management, and world building in totally new directions. From futuristic colonies to fantasy realms and even cozy little towns. There's a bit of everything coming up pretty soon. So, let's dive into the most exciting upcoming city building games of 2026. Citystate Metropolis. If you've ever wanted a city builder that doesn't just look good on the surface, but also digs into the messy, complicated realities of running a society, Citystate Metropolis is shaping up to be exactly that. It's the next step in the Citystate series created by Andy Stark, and it feels like a blend of free-form urban design and deep socioeconomic simulation. The building tools are a big deal here. This isn't the usual square grid system. Instead, you've got gridless zoning, meaning that neighborhoods can take on more natural shapes. Buildings themselves are procedurally generated, but you do get to play architect, tweaking their height, width, floors, and even how much parking space they need. But what makes Citystate Metropolis really interesting is its focus on how your decisions ripple through society. Instead of tracking every single person, the game uses a crowd-based model that stimulates households and buildings, letting your city realistically grow past 1 million citizens without lagging into chaos. That means you're dealing with things like income disparity, gentrification, or urban decay, all tied to the policies that you set and the kind of housing you allow. Want cheap, dense housing to boost social mobility, or eco-friendly towers that attract investors? Every choice shifts the city's direction. Nova Roma. Nova Roma is an upcoming city builder from Lion Shield, the same team behind Kingdoms and Castles. And honestly, this one looks like it's taking that familiar charm and pushing it into something much grander. You're leading a group of settlers trying to rebuild the glory of Rome, founding a brand new eternal city while the old empire crumbles around you. What really stands out to me here is the water system. It's fully simulated. Water flows, floods, and shapes the terrain naturally, and you can actually control it. You can build massive dams, carve out rivers, and use aqueducts to bring water into your city. It's not just for show either. Water affects soil fertility and farming, so a poorly planned dam could end up flooding half your town. There's even a dam planning mode to help you avoid those disasters. But it's not just about engineering. The Roman gods are also part of your city's daily life. Ignore them, and you'll face divine punishment, like lightning strikes or floods. Keep them happy with temples and festivals, and they'll bless your people instead. And of course, you've got all the classic city builder goodness. Complex supply chains, evolving citizen needs, laws, and even barbarian invasions to worry about. DarkSwitch. DarkSwitch is an upcoming survival city builder set in a haunting dark fantasy world, and it takes the concept of city building to a whole new level. Quite literally. Instead of spreading across land, your city grows vertically, high up into the branches of a gigantic tree known as the Ardentis tree, the last refugee from the deadly fog that has swallowed the world below. The fog isn't just a background detail though, it is an active, creeping threat that drives people insane and spawns horrifying creatures that attack your settlement. So, you're not just managing resources or building homes, you're keeping the darkness at bay. Your greatest weapon? Light. You'll need to build bonfires, solely empowered towers, and light networks to push back the fog and defend your people. Your citizens fall into different classes: workers, artisans, and rangers, and each plays a crucial role in keeping your fragile city alive. You'll need to assign them wisely, manage resources, and make tough moral choices as you face events that test your leadership. Beyond survival, you can send expedition teams into the mist below to discover lost ruins, gather rare materials, and uncover ancient artifacts that reveal the world's dark history. I'll be covering more games just like this one, so if that's your kind of thing, come hang out and subscribe. RAEV, Kingdom of the Distant Shores. RAEV, Kingdom of the Distant Shores is an upcoming strategy and city builder game that takes the cozy charm of a small fantasy village and expands it into a full-blown grand strategy experience. You'll be ruling a civilization of adorable fox-like people known as the Reavens, building cities, exploring vast lands, and eventually managing an entire kingdom across a continent. What makes it stand out is just how personal everything feels. Each Reaven is unique. They have their own traits, jobs, and ambitions. You'll see them grow from simple villagers into skilled workers, soldiers, or even legendary heroes, depending on how you guide them. Their happiness and career path actually influence just how efficient your kingdom becomes. City building, though, is done completely free-form. There are no grids, so you can design your towns however you like, with modular buildings and little details that make each place feel alive. Over time, you'll expand beyond a single settlement, linking multiple cities together through trade routes, convoys, and alliances. And once your kingdom grows, the game shifts into a full grand strategy mode. You'll be exploring new territories, uncovering ancient ruins, managing diplomacy with neighboring factions, and deciding whether your legacy will be one of peace or conquest. Planetbase 2. Planetbase 2 is the long-awaited sequel to one of the most beloved colony-building sims out there, developed by Margiga Works, the same team behind Dawn of Man. It's currently in development and planned for release in early 2027, and from what the devs have shown so far, this isn't just a simple sequel, it's a complete evolution of the original concept. You'll once again be taking charge of humanity's expansion into space, building self-sustaining colonies on real celestial bodies across the solar system. But this time, we're not just talking about generic planets. Planetbase 2 will take you to real locations like Mars, the Moon, Europa, and even Titan, each bringing its own brutal environmental challenges and survival quirks. The game systems are being rebuilt from the ground up, aiming for much deeper management and control. You'll still rely on automation to keep things running smoothly, but now you can also take direct command of your colonists, RTS style, giving them specific tasks and coordinating work more efficiently. The colonists themselves have gotten a big visual upgrade as well, more realistic, detailed, and specialized for different jobs. Logistics and infrastructure are also getting a major overhaul, with drivable vehicles, roads, and even separate interconnected bases. Spiritstead. Spiritstead is one of those games that instantly gives off that warm, comforting vibe, like curling up with a cozy blanket while managing your own little slice of magic. At its core, this is a peaceful settlement building experience. You'll gather resources, construct homes, frames, cafes, and markets, and make sure that your townsfolk are happy and well fed. But what makes Spiritstead stand out is its magical twist. The world is alive with spirits that you can discover through simple, sometimes hilarious interactions, like cooking a strange meal or accidentally making a sheep fly. Once unlocked, these spirits lend a hand in your daily management, gathering resources and keeping your settlement running smoothly. Your overarching goal, though, revolves around restoring the Spirit Temple, a sacred place that ties directly into your progress. By collecting magical shards, often mined by your spirits, you'll unlock powerful new structures that expand both your town and its magical energy. The game offers two main modes: survival mode for those who enjoy a bit of challenge and strategy, and creative mode for players who just want to relax, decorate, and bring their dream fantasy village to life without worrying about resources. Whiskerwood. Whiskerwood is one of those city builders that immediately catches your eye, not just because of how charming it looks, but because of its surprisingly dark and clever premise. Developed by Minakata Dynamics and published by Hooded Horse, this upcoming colony management sim puts you in charge of a society of industrious mice who are forced to build towering cities and manage entire economies just to serve their feline overlords, known ominously as the Claws. At its heart, Whiskerwood is a complex and deeply satisfying simulation game. You start with a few mice on a small island, gathering resources, constructing workshops, and managing production lines that can grow into massive multi-level cities, built both above ground and deep within the cliffs. The game features over 40 unique commodities, detailed weather and temperature systems, and even specific growing environments like damp caves for mushrooms or steam-powered climate control for crops. But the real tension comes from balancing two opposing forces: the happiness and survival of your mouse citizens and the never-ending demands of your cat overlords. Fail to meet their taxes and you risk punishment. Neglect your citizens and they might abandon your colony altogether. Eventually, as your society grows stronger, you'll have the chance to build a navy, explore nearby islands, and even, if you're bold enough, spark a full-blown rebellion against the cats. Transport Fever 3. Transport Fever 3 looks like it's going to be a dream come true for anyone who loves transport sims. And honestly, I'm pretty excited for this one myself. It's the next big leap in the Transport Fever series, developed by Urban Games, and it's bringing back that addictive blend of business management and intricate transport logistics, but this time with way more depth, personality, and challenge. At its core, it's still about building and managing a massive transport empire, connecting cities, managing industries, and making sure people and goods get where they need to go. But the developers are really pushing the tycoon aspect this time. Your financial decisions actually matter more now, and you'll have to juggle tricky contracts, shifting industries, and the ever-changing economy to stay profitable. I love that industries aren't just static anymore. They grow and adapt depending on how you run your network, which should make every playthrough feel more alive. There's also a day-night cycle. Finally, helicopters for those tough-to-reach places, and over 250 vehicles spanning a full century of transport history. Plus, the new biomes look incredible. From tropical coasts to snowy tundras, each region has its own unique challenges. And for the first time, Transport Fever 3 will launch simultaneously on both PC and consoles, which is a huge step forward. Faraway Lands: Rise of Yokai. Faraway Lands: Rise of Yokai is one of those games that instantly grabs my attention, not just because of its gorgeous feudal Japan setting, but because it mixes base building, survival, and strategy in a way that feels really fresh. You're not just managing some random village, you're leading a growing settlement perched on a mountain, surrounded by danger and haunted every night by yokai, the relentless spirits and demons of Japanese folklore. What I really like here though is just how much the game combines the structure of a colony sim with the tension of a survival game. Your villagers act on their own, taking care of themselves and working in jobs that you assign, chopping wood, brewing sake, building defenses, all while you're trying to keep your tiny mountain town running efficiently. And the whole vertical layout adds this interesting challenge, since you need to think about how to use elevation to your advantage when planning your defenses. Then comes Nightfall, and that is when things get intense. The yokai emerge, and it turns into this tower defense style battle where you deploy samurai, spiritual mages, and even mercenaries to protect your people. Survive long enough and you can explore the world by sea, mine deep underground, and trade with distant lands to uncover hidden treasures and mysteries. Super Fantasy Kingdom. Super Fantasy Kingdom looks like the kind of game that doesn't just mix genres, it throws them into a blender and somehow makes it all work. It's a roguelite city builder with survival and strategy elements wrapped up in a charming pixel art fantasy world. Imagine if the Settlers, Loop Hero, and Vampire Survivors had a baby. That's pretty much what this game feels like. Each run is split up into two parts. During the day, you focus on rebuilding your fallen kingdom. You gather resources, set up production chains, and decide how to spend your limited space. Maybe another lumber mill for faster growth, or a brewery to keep your citizens happy before the monsters arrive. The best part though is that once you assign jobs, your workers handle the busy work automatically, so it feels smooth and relaxing instead of micromanage heavy. But then night falls, and everything changes. Hordes of monsters come crashing in, and you have to defend your kingdom using over 100 different units, from halfling slingers to dinosaurs and even genie spellcasters. You can also pick up a guardian, like an ice priestess or a knight, to lead the charge and completely change your strategy for that run. But even when you fall, the game doesn't really end. You come back stronger with permanent upgrades, new heroes, relics, and map expansions that keep each run feeling fresh and rewarding. Beyond These Stars. Beyond These Stars takes the idea of a city builder and sends it soaring through space. Literally. Instead of building on land, you're creating an entire civilization on the back of a massive, living space whale named Kiwa. It's one of the most creative takes on the genre that I've ever seen, and what makes it so special is that it's not about conquest or domination, but about coexistence and sustainability. You lead the Peeps, descendants of an ancient interstellar civilization, as they search for lost ancestral settlements amongst the stars. Your city grows across Kiwa's back, which isn't just a static map, but a living creature with its own needs, moods, and reactions. If you overbuild or pollute, Kiwa might start acting out, kinda like flying through electric storms that disable your structures. So instead of exploiting your environment, the goal is to live with it, nurturing a balance between progress and nature. You'll build hex-based cities, manage ecosystems, terraform Kiwa's surface, and even learn to communicate with the whale to strengthen your bond. Beyond that, you can send ships to nearby planets, set up resource outposts, and trade across the galaxy, all while keeping your home whale healthy and happy. It's a peaceful, thoughtful strategy game that replaces conflict with creativity, offering a pretty rare kind of beauty in the genre. One that's about harmony, sustainability, and exploration amongst the stars. All Will Fall. All Will Fall is one of those games that takes the familiar comfort of city building and throws it into absolute chaos. Quite literally. Set in a flooded, post-apocalyptic world where the oceans have swallowed nearly everything, you're leading a small group of survivors trying to build a new civilization atop the ruins of humanity. The catch? Every single structure you build is governed by real physics, meaning that if your tower's foundation isn't stable enough, it's not just gonna wobble, it's gonna crash into the ocean, taking your citizens with it. Instead of neatly placing buildings on a grid, you're stacking them in full 3D spaces, upward, outward, and across shaky remnants of old structures. It's part engineering puzzle, part survival nightmare. You'll need to think about balance, weight distribution, and support beams, almost like you're building a living sculpture that could collapse at any time. But physics isn't your enemy. Resources are scarce, the sea is merciless, and your people are divided into factions. Engineers, sailors, and workers, each with their own demands and temperaments. You'll be making tough moral decisions reminiscent of Frostpunk, from rationing food to keeping order amongst desperate survivors. And even when things go wrong, which they will. That's just part of the experience. Each collapse, each failed structure becomes a lesson for your next attempt. Wild West Pioneers. Wild West Pioneers takes the city building formula to the rugged frontier, a time of dusty trails, hard work, and ambition under the endless western sky. Developed by Empire Craft Studios and published by Tuplitz Production, it's a detailed town management game where you start with a small camp in the middle of nowhere and slowly shape it into a thriving Wild West settlement. You begin by gathering the basics, wood, water, and food, before expanding into full production chains that turn raw materials into valuable goods. Every plank, stake, and tool has to be crafted and delivered by your settlers, each of whom is an actual person with their own job, personality, and needs. You'll need to make sure that they're housed, fed, and happy, because a hungry, unhappy settler won't get much done. And if morale drops too low, they might just abandon town altogether. What makes Wild West Pioneers interesting is just how personal it feels. You're not managing faceless workers, you're overseeing real people who grow, complain, and make small personal requests that can boost your town's happiness. You can even appoint leaders like a sheriff or mayor whose traits influence everything from productivity to law and order. The First Explorers. The First Explorers is a classic-inspired city-building and real-time strategy game set in ancient Europe. Deeply rooted in the settlers-like tradition, it combines the satisfaction of a living, bustling economy with the strategic depth of territorial conquest. You take command of one of three ancient civilizations, Romans, Carthaginians, or Gauls, as they venture into uncharted lands. Starting with only a handful of settlers, you must build a thriving colony from the ground up, harvesting resources, managing production chains, and expanding your influence across the landscape. At its heart, The First Explorers features an organic economy where every worker, good, and tool is visible in motion. Lumber is chopped, stone is hauled, and bread is baked before your eyes as carriers transport resources between workshops, cookhouses, and taverns. The game blends this economic simulation with a robust RTS-style combat system. Civilian workers operate automatically based on your city's layout, but military units, from scouts to legionaries, are controlled directly in battle. Expanding your borders requires building watchtowers and fortifications, and while warfare is key to victory, it's tempered by a clever system that gives defenders a home field advantage, discouraging early pushes and emphasizing strategic buildup. Car Park Capital. Car Park Capital is one of those games that takes something familiar, city building, and flips it completely on its head. Instead of creating beautiful, walkable cities, here you're doing the exact opposite. You work for Big Auto, and your job is to turn peaceful, pedestrian-friendly towns into massive, car-choked concrete wastelands, all in the name of profit. It's absurd, satirical, and oddly satisfying in the most ironic way possible. Developed by Hilkoji Interactive and published by Microprose, this game blends tycoon and city-building mechanics with sharp social commentary about car dependency. You'll be paving over parks, demolishing homes, and filling every inch of space with parking lots and highways, all while making sure your propaganda keeps citizens believing that cars equal freedom. And it doesn't stop there. You can drill for oil, manage traffic chaos, and even build ridiculous monuments like giant car statues or Ferris wheels for vehicles. The whole thing plays out in retro-style isometric graphs, reminiscent of old-school tycoon games, which makes the satire hit even harder. It's over-the-top, funny, and surprisingly deep, a management sim where the goal isn't to create a utopia, but to profit from dystopia. Anno 117, Pax Romana. Anno 117 Pax Romana takes the long-running city-building series back further in time than ever before. Straight into the heart of the Roman Empire. This is the 8th main entry in the Anno franchise, and it's shaping up to be both familiar and refreshingly new. Set in the year 117 AD, during the height of the Pax Romana, you step into the role of a Roman governor tasked with building and managing prosperous provinces for the glory of the empire. Like past Anno games, you'll be designing beautiful cities, managing complex production chains, and maintaining a careful balance between your citizens' happiness and the Emperor's expectations. But this time, you'll get to choose where and how your story begins, with 2 starting regions offering very different experiences. You can play in Latium, the Empire's rich and orderly heartland, or Albion, the rugged and untamed frontier of Celtic Britain. Each setting has its own challenges, climate, and culture. A big part of the game revolves around how you govern these lands, whether you enforce Roman traditions through Romanization or respect and preserve Celtic culture for different kinds of bonuses. Your decisions will shape the identity of your provinces and define your legacy, whether as loyal servant of the Emperor or an ambitious rebel carving your own path. Masters of Albion. Masters of Albion feels like Peter Molyneux's coming full circle. It's the kind of ambitious blend that only he could dream up. Part god game, part city builder, and part action RPG. all stitched together in a world that fans of Fable will instantly recognize: Albion. Developed by 22 Cans, this project draws direct inspiration from Molinix's classic black and white Dungeon Keeper and Fable, but reimagines them in a modern, unified experience. The game revolves around a fascinating cycle of creation and defense, split between two interconnected modes. In God mode, you play from a top-down perspective, sculpting and managing your world like a divine architect. You'll build towns, manage industries, fulfill faction requests, and even use your massive god hand to interact directly with the world, tossing resources, constructing buildings, or smiting enemies with miracles like lightning or fire. But it's not just about growth, your moral choices matter as well. Feed your people well or cut corners with questionable meals, and the world will respond accordingly, both visually and socially. Then there's Possession mode, where things shift dramatically. You can step down into the world and take control of your hero, or any creature, in full third-person view. This is where you explore, fight monsters, push back the fog of war, and unlock new lands for expansion. It's part city builder, part action RPG, seamlessly intertwined. Tropico 7. Tropico 7 is bringing back our favorite dictator with a whole new big bag of tricks. And this time, El Presidente isn't just reshaping politics, he's reshaping the entire island. Officially announced at Gamescom 2025 and set to release in 2026, the next entry in the beloved satirical city builder series promises bigger maps, deeper politics, and even more over-the-top freedom to rule your tropical paradise, or dystopia, however you see fit. At its heart, Tropico 7 sticks to the classic formula. You'll guide your island nation from the colonial era all the way to the modern age, balancing the needs of your people, the demands of global powers, and your own burning desire to get rich off your Swiss bank account. But this time, the game is going bigger in every sense. The standout new feature is terraforming. Yes, you can literally move mountains. You can flatten hills, carve out beaches, or even build entirely new islands to expand your empire. It's the ultimate power fantasy for anyone who ever thought, this city layout would be perfect if I could just delete that mountain. Then there's the Council, a new political mechanic that lets El Presidente call in faction leaders for direct negotiation or manipulation. Want to keep the communists happy? Bribe them. Want to silence the intellectuals? Well, there are always other options. Frostpunk 1886. Frostpunk 1886 isn't a sequel, but more like a reimagined version of the original Frostpunk from 2018, rebuilt from the ground up using Unreal Engine 5. It's being developed by 11-bit studios and is currently planned for release in 2027. Now what's cool here is that this isn't just a visual upgrade. The developers describe it as about 70% the original Frostpunk experience and 30% completely new content. That means new events, mechanics, technologies, buildings, and even an entirely new purpose path, alongside the familiar faith and order systems, giving players a fresh way to lead their frozen city. Another big deal is that this version will finally include full mod support, something fans have been asking for since the first game. Thanks to Unreal Engine 5 though, that's finally possible. The story still takes place in New London, 1886, during the catastrophic Great Storm, where you once again lead humanity's last city through brutal cold, impossible choices, and moral dilemmas. So even if you've played the original to death, this new version looks like a deeper, more immersive take on one of the most haunting city builders ever made. County of Fortune. County of Fortune takes a fresh approach to medieval strategy and city building by zooming out, way out. Instead of managing a single settlement, you're responsible for an entire country made up of multiple interconnected villages and towns. Developed by Nepos Games, the small team behind Nebuchadnezzar, this title aims to launch in Q4 of 2025 with an early access phase planned. What makes it so special though is its county builder concept. You're not micromanaging where every house or workshop goes. Instead, you're thinking big picture, founding settlements, guiding their growth, and managing the web of trade, culture, and logistics that connects them all. It's more about micromanagement and strategy than about detailed city layouts. Each settlement in your county evolves based on how you manage it. Over time, they develop distinct cultural traits influenced by your decisions, geography, and available resources. Maybe one village becomes a mining hub known for its rugged people, while others grow into a wealthy trade town with refined tastes. You can either unify them under one cultural banner or embrace their diversity to maximize efficiency and labor. Of course, managing an entire county though means logistics are everything. Steel Artery Train City Builder. Steel Artery Train City Builder takes the concept of city building and cranks it full steam ahead. Literally. Set in a steampunk fantasy world, this game reimagines urban planning aboard a massive moving train called Steelopolis, the last bastion of a dying empire. Your job as the mayor of Stylopolis isn't just to keep the train running, it's to turn it into a living, breathing city on rails. You'll expand by attaching new wagons, each serving a different purpose, housing industry, dining, or entertainment. Because space is limited, it plays almost like a Tetris-style layout puzzle, where every placement counts. Inside, life runs on its own. Your citizens act autonomously, each with their own routines, needs, and ambitions. You don't directly control them, you just provide them infrastructure and opportunities. Whether they work, rest, or change profession depends entirely on how your economy is structured. And this isn't a simple human-only world. You'll manage a multicultural society of humans, elves, orcs, and more, all living together in close quarters. Their differences can spark cooperation, or conflict, depending on how you govern. On top of that, the game features a closed-loop economy where every action feeds another. Workers earn wages, spend them at inns and shops, and keep the cycle going. I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to leave a comment below if any of these games caught your eye, or if there are other upcoming releases you'd like to hear about. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing for more gaming content in the future. Thanks for watching.